Good evening, ladies and gents. Guest Gex here doing a Game Boy Advance translation of one of my favourite games of all time by Konami, their masterpiece that is Silent Hill 1. As you can see, it's a little bit ropey, but this is very impressive considering this is on a Game Boy Advance cartridge. It's Japanese only, so I'm going to have to use a translation, so I'm going to kind of read through it. It's a bit like one of those storybook adventures where you kind of choose which path you want to take. Yeah, but as I said, it is, as far as I can tell, pretty much the same full story as Silent Hill, Alessa and Dahlia and all that lot. So we'll see how we get on. But it may be terrible. But anyway, as I say, we're going to have to use a translation for this. So it'll be basically story time with Gex, basically. I'm going to delete that file. Thankfully, the small amount of Japanese I know will help. I must admit a bit here, but I will be using, as I say, an online translation for this. But anyway, we'll see how we go. So here we go. So this is obviously the first chapter. So it says, where are we? It's been a while since I've taken a vacation. I'm driving my Jeep, heading towards the quiet resort town of Silent Hill. The sound of the engine reverberates in the darkness. Due to some slight car trouble earlier, it's become this late. I am Harry Mason. I am a run-of-the-mill writer. And then in the back, her eyes closed, Cheryl sleeps peacefully in the passenger seat. Cheryl is my daughter. She's cheerful and lively, and the occasional carefree smile she shows me make me feel happy. Good old Cheryl. I don't have many relationships with people because of what I do for a living, so Cheryl's existence has become irreplaceable to me. Cheryl was very much looking forward to this trip. Good old Cheryl. Although paved, this is still very much a mountain road. At this hour, there is little reason for any other drivers to be about. I press the accelerator. There's no light off in the darkness. I can depend only on my headlights. Good old Sybil, as you can see there. Light reflects off the rear view mirror. It's a motorcycle. There's a motorcycle heading toward the same destination as we are at terrific speed at this late hour. With a roar, the motorcycle effortlessly passes by the side of my Jeep. The seal of the police. Perhaps there's been an accident or something, but I don't recall hearing anything about an accident or anything on the radio. Cheryl is sleeping. A child shouldn't be awake at this hour. I wonder if she's dreaming about something. Tomorrow I have planned to take her to the amusement park. That would probably be good old Lakeside Amusement Park. Maybe she's dreaming about riding the merry-go-round. I glance over at Cheryl's sleeping face and then return my eyes forward. The lighted area of the road almost appears to be belched out from the darkness as it moves towards me. Huh? Something enters my field of view. It's the motorcycle from just before. It's lying on its side on the shoulder of the road. No doubt about it, it's the same motorbike that just passed me. There's no sign of the driver. It looks like the driver smashed onto the surface of the rocks by the side of the road while trying to avoid some kind of obstacle, and hence that part of the motorcycle has been destroyed. I carefully check the way in which my vehicle is headed. However, I don't see anything that could be an obstacle to my advance in the area illuminated by the headlights. A strange atmosphere creeps in around me. The radio reception begins to become erratic. Perhaps I should turn back, but my foot won't stop pressing down on the accelerator, with no intention of letting off. You can no longer turn back now, something murmurs within me. Please increase your speed some more, something murmurs again within me. Cheryl's eyes are closed. She's dreaming. I know that I should be awake, but what is this uneasy feeling? I feel as if my body isn't totally my own. It's like some strange being that isn't me is controlling me, like I'm floating. My eyelids are getting heavy. As the steering wheel leaves my hand, it creates the illusion of setting the course on its own. Freezing cold, uneasiness, almost like being ready to fall asleep. I'm just barely conscious, and now at my limit to maintain even that. Ah! When I saw the human figure on the road, I cut the wheel hard, and there was nowhere else for my Jeep and I to go but down into the darkness below the cliff. Oh, and a nice little scream from the figure in the road there. So we're going to wake up soon. The silence pierces my ears. As the wind blew, it was accompanied by piercing cold. Where am I? I feel light faintly pressing through my eyelids. I don't seem to be hurt, but that much is clear to me because I don't feel any pain. But maybe I've suffered an injury that doesn't cause any pain? I slowly try opening my heavy eyelids. Out-of-season snow is pouring into the town. Other than the sound of droplets of ice hitting the ground, there's nothing else to be heard. Silent Hill. That's what's assuredly written on the sign by the side of the road. Without realising it, Cheryl and I have reached our destination. All my memories up to that point are gone. The wind is blowing in. When I take a look next to me, I'm shocked. The passenger door is blown open. The passenger door has been left open. Sorry about that. Cheryl is nowhere to be seen. Silent Hill. This town, which should just be a resort area, appears to have become just like a ghost town for some reason. Or maybe it was waiting for us to arrive. Or perhaps the town just nestled up to us. So now I'm alone. Cheryl's not here. While I was knocked out, Cheryl opened the passenger door and stepped out, alone, into this tourist spot that's ruled by an unsettling silence. And then she left me to head somewhere. I tightly closed my jacket round my neck and set off on foot in search of Cheryl. I wonder what in the world happened here. Nothing makes any sense. The silence, the out-of-season snow, and strangest of all, the entire town is wrapped up in a thick fog. Okay, so Harry's thinking, what's going on? So we've got a choice of wondering where Cheryl is, or is there no one in this town? Let's look for Cheryl. I begin to run. Only the sounds of my footsteps echo in the surroundings. Just where in the world has Cheryl gone? Did someone lead her away? Various concerns run through my mind. So, of footsteps. I suddenly get the feeling that I heard footsteps other than my own, so I stop moving right away to check it out. Through the thick fog, I can see a figure that's about the size of a child. Cheryl? Without a thought, I cry out. The figure doesn't move at all. At the moment I begin to move slowly toward the figure, it starts to run. I fiercely chase after the figure. That's definitely Cheryl. Even though it's faint, I can't mistake someone else for Cheryl. However, no matter how much I run, I can't catch up. Instead, the figure's gradually getting further away from me. The figure puts on speed, as if it's gliding through the air. The figure appears to be absorbed by the fog as it begins to disappear. In order not to lose it, I run with all my strength while keeping my vision centered on the figure. I suddenly notice that I've come to an alley surrounded by buildings. I don't know how, but it's like a cover was placed over the sky, which had provided light until now, and the area has become engulfed in darkness. I thought, I must find out if there's anyone other than myself here. This is definitely Silent Hill. I recognise a signboard on that store. A long time ago, when I was young, I visited the area once. Oh, no, wait, sorry, 2 seconds. Hang on, we might have accidentally skipped something here. Sorry, 2 seconds. All the doors... Oh, sorry. From the darkness I can hear multiple... Sorry about that. Ignore that. From the darkness I can hear multiple footsteps coming this way. I don't know who it is. I'll take a look, or I'm going to get out of here. Obviously, we're going to get attacked by mumblers, so we may as well skip straight to that, because we all know what happens at this point. So I'm just going to say, I don't know who it is. I'll take a look. I stood ready. What are they? With beast-like rage, they've closed in to right where I am. Arg! Then my vitality is sucked away by these strangely shaped monsters until I finally lose consciousness. Sybil Bennett. She's a full-time police officer working in the neighbouring town of Brahms. There was no one else in the cafe other than her and Harry. She took a seat at the counter and waited for Harry to wake up. Here we are, that famous clip there. I suddenly woke. Where is this place? Why am I here? Was I brought here by someone? There's no boundary between dream and reality, just confusion. As I lay on the bench seat in the cafe, my eyes slowly began to focus. The woman sitting at the counter stands and folds her arms. She walks over and looks down at me. She's wearing a police uniform. The woman smiles a bit, and she appears to be relieved that I've regained consciousness. It looks like you've finally woken up. Who are you? I tried talking to the unfamiliar woman. I'm Sybil Bennett. I'm here because all communication with this town suddenly went dead, and so I came to investigate. I'm Harry Mason. I brought my daughter to this town for some sightseeing, but on the way here there was an accident and I lost consciousness. Oh yeah, Sybil, you haven't seen a little girl in this town, have you? A little girl? No, I haven't seen her. When I came to after the accident, my daughter was nowhere to be seen. The passenger door was open and she was gone. Cheryl? Sorry, my daughter's name is Cheryl. She's a timid person, so it's hard to imagine that she headed out into this weird town alone. Plus, I was there in the driver's seat, and since she gave me no warning, it just doesn't make sense. Are you familiar with this area? There's no sign of anyone. And what's going on with the snow at this time of year? What in the world has happened in this town? I said all of this while breathing deeply. I'm afraid I don't know either. I still haven't seen anyone other than you. It's like the town is as silent as a graveyard, left without even the means to contact any neighbouring towns. I see. You also had an accident, right? I thought it was a good idea to head to the police station in this town alone on my motorbike, but I guess I was going a little too fast. A girl suddenly jumped out into the road. I'm pretty sure it was a girl. I almost hit her. I cut the handlebars hard in order to avoid her. After that, I can't remember anything. When I came to, I was lying in the street in front of this cafe, so naturally I came in here to get out of the snow, and then I found you sleeping there. I was having some kind of nightmare. As for if I made it here on my own, I don't remember at all. Just what in the world has happened in this town? What's going on with everything? Well, the situation is definitely strange. I'll head back to Brahms for reinforcements, and then return here. How about you? Sybil stood and fixed her collar with resolute fortitude. I've got to look for Cheryl. There's no way I can just leave her alone. I see. Well, I'll give you this then. You never know what might happen under these circumstances. If you feel threatened, then pull the trigger without hesitating. Oh, we've got options here. I take the gun into my hand. We've got options of thanks, I hope I don't have to use it, or thank you, but I'm no good with guns. Obviously, we're going to take it, so I hope I don't have to use it. I think we might. Having never handled a handgun before, I'm surprised by how heavy it is. But will you be alright? I'm not like the average girls around here. I've undergone proper training. Sybil placed her hand on the exit door, but then she turns and faces me again. Harry, don't go shooting me by mistake or anything. I haven't had any training on how to stop bullets. She smiles after saying this, and then disappears into the thick fog. Oh. Okay, we all know what's going to happen next though, don't we, of course. After being left alone in the cafe... I've got a t-shirt, by the way, with Cafe 5 to 2 on it. I love it. But anyway, after being left alone in the cafe, I gazed at the handgun Sybil gave me for a little while. And then I thought about Cheryl, who disappeared in this town. That figure I saw in the fog, it was definitely Cheryl. But she didn't answer my calls. And she was possibly moving away from me. I don't understand. I'm getting a bit mixed up. Still, the one thing I know for sure is that Cheryl has vanished in this town. All I can do is look for her. I might not have any knowledge of the surroundings or any clues, but I won't find Cheryl if I stay here. I stood up energetically and placed my hand on the cafe door. Oh, weird static noise. Something's making noise. There it is again. What is that noise? So it says it's somewhere inside the cafe, or it's somewhere outside the cafe. Well, we all know if you played Silent Hill before, you know that it is something inside the cafe. I look around the cafe, I walk in the direction the noise is coming from, and then I pick up the source of the noise. Radio? Boom! In comes the air screamer. At that moment, the window glass shattered with a thunder and a giant bird-like creature flew into the cafe. Oh, look at that. Animation for that. I like that. That's cool. No, it's not a bird. It's a creature with reddish-brown skin that looks as if it's been burned. In its pale green eyes, it's clear that my life is in danger. Okay, we've got options here. So we could hide underneath the table, we can ready the gun in my inexperienced hands, or run outside the cafe. I think we should try and kill this thing, so that we're not... Yeah, I think we should try and kill this thing. So it says I ready the handgun in my inexperienced hands. Where are we to 11? Page 1. So it says, damn, I firmly held the handgun that I just received, quickly pointed at the creature and pulled the trigger. I'm not used to using guns, so some of my shots hit the ceiling. Focusing the aim on one thing. I limit my aim to what? Its vulnerable spot is its body, or aiming at the wings will bring it down. Let's aim at the wings. Those large wings, it uses them nimbly to maintain its balance in the air. If I destroy its wing, it won't be able to move, then I can finish it off at my leisure. Boom. My one shot hits the wing, blasting a large hole in it. The creature loses altitude as it falls to the floor. I can't afford to waste bullets. I crush it with the thick sole of my shoe many times. As its strange cries die out, a dark red stain spreads out on the floor. He says, what the hell? This is not a dream. What's happening to this place? Only the sound of my fist hitting the table echoes in the cafe. At my feet, the still warm corpse of the creature lies in the centre of a pool of oddly coloured liquid. After leaving the cafe, I decided to head first towards the alley from before. Black figures fly about in the heavens as if searching for prey. I then come to realise a constant. The static on the radio changes based on their movements. The closer the monsters come to me, the louder the static gets. My sight is hindered by the fog, and on top of that, the weather is so bad that snow is falling. This is extremely important information. He's talking about the radio when he says that. I run through the snow that appears to have no intention of stopping. Increasing my speed each time the static comes in on the radio, I proceed into the fog. Following the thin thread of my memory, I finally arrive at the alley from before. The evil atmosphere is dissipated and light pours in along with snow from in between the buildings. Oh, I love seeing these screenshots like that, it just looks so familiar. I move into the alley and it reaches a dead end after a bit. At the end of the alley, I see a familiar sketchbook that appears to have been thrown away. The likeness of me that Cheryl drew is on the cover of the sketchbook. Oh, I remember that really ropey drawing, yeah. This is definitely Cheryl's. I try opening it. Inside the following is written in red ink. To school. Along Levin Street, I slip through the back door of a house that had a doghouse and then head for the school. The surroundings gradually fill with darkness, and only the flashlight on my chest illuminates this strange street. So I think we go straight to the school from here by the looks of it. Here we are, Midditch Elementary. I pass through the entrance to the elementary school grounds. When I open the door that leads into the school building, I see that even more darkness is waiting for me inside. It's possible that Cheryl wrote those letters to school. I can't be sure whether Cheryl is here or not. It's just that I haven't a clue other than the sketchbook. A guide map of the school has been tacked to the side wall of the entrance with a rusted thumbtack. After removing the map from the wall, I place it in my pocket and push open the heavy door that leads to the interior of the school building. Nice. Oh my god, how eerie does that look? That's so creepy. My footsteps and the creaking of the hallway, they sound like screams and their reverberations rock my eardrums. I'd been walking carefully step by step, but without realising it, I'd begun to run. There's no sign of anyone. The silent innards of the school building are dark, and with only the flashlight on my chest, it's impossible for me to see any of the details. Cheryl doesn't have a flashlight, so if she came in here and got lost, then she probably wouldn't even be able to walk around. Since I have my flashlight turned on, she should be able to notice me easily. At least I have that modest hope. I then notice I've come to the entrance to the music room. I put my hand on the door. When I open the door, I see that the inside of the room is large and there's a grand piano placed in the centre. As I sit on the chair of the piano, I'm shocked. The seat is still warm, as if someone had been sitting here just a few minutes before. Cheryl's smile runs through the back of my mind. Cheryl often played the cheap, upright piano in our home. It became nice background music when I was working. Perhaps Cheryl had come to the music room? I gently opened the cover on the piano keys. I noticed there was red mixed in among the black and white. I tried touching the liquid. It has a lukewarm feel. It's still holding heat. It's definitely blood. My heart pounds in my chest like an alarm bell. The large amount of blood spilled on the keys. If this is Cheryl's blood, she may no longer be alive. I wipe the stain of my hands onto my jeans, stand, and then leave the music room. At the same time I closed the door, I thought I heard someone scream. Maybe it's just my imagination. I walk down the hallway. The sleety mixture of snow pounds hard against the windows facing the courtyard. I take a look through a window down in the dark courtyard. The not so large courtyard is dotted with areas in which withered plants are growing. In addition to that, an old clock tower is faintly visible. From here I can't determine what time the clock is pointing to. Wait. Something appears to be wriggling about in the darkness. An animal? No, it's dark and I can't see so well, but it's slowly moving on two legs. It appears to be searching for something. At that moment, the radio I'd clipped onto my chest suddenly begins making noise. As I return my sight to the hallway, a sharp pain runs through my thigh. Oh god, a mumbler! When I look down, I see the tips of those long claws are piercing my thigh. Those oddly shaped monsters. They're posed like they want to hug me and have gathered around my waist. They're about to bite me. So I push the monster away with my hands, or ready the handgun and fired. We're going to try pushing it away. With my right hand, I push on its head with force and knock it away. It then tosses and falls down on its face. That's when I noticed I was being completely surrounded by those monsters. I ready the gun, I fix my aim on their heads and pull the trigger with a trembling finger. I continue to shoot as each one of them appears. The smoke from the gunpowder began to fill the air around me, so I place one hand over my mouth. Oh god. Are we dead? Okay, even after the noise from the radio had stopped, I could only stand there, paralysed in utter amazement among their corpses. Is Cheryl alright? She shouldn't have been carrying anything that could be used as a weapon. I begin running. I just can't stand around. There's not a moment to lose. Cheryl's waiting for me. Wait a minute. Suddenly my vision becomes hazy or something and I rub my eyes. When I look back, I see that all the bodies of the monsters have unexpectedly vanished. Was I hallucinating? I pull the guide map out of my pocket and shine the flashlight on it, and then I confirm there's a boiler room located in the basement. My feet naturally begin to take me there. Oh nice! GIF. Stairs dot GIF. I descend the stairs to the basement, taking one step at a time. A school building without light. As I move forward, I'm beset on all sides by absolute darkness. As I head towards new fear and new enemies, my feet have no intention of stopping their advance. But oddly enough, I don't have a sense of justice. I just want to make sure that Cheryl is safe. To hold her in my arms, that's my only goal. The boiler's not running. If I simply press the switch in front of me, this eerie machine should start working again. However, I just stand still. I try pushing the switch, but the boiler doesn't do anything at all, so I try opening the switchboard cover below the switch. It seems I've got to somehow supply power from the main power supply to the boiler. The power supply is on the right. From the left of the switchboard, a thick pipe extends and is connected to the boiler. Oh god. Okay, so power supply is on the right. What? Hang on, what? Hang on, slightly confused. Oh, okay. Okay, that was a bit weird. Got it. I have an instinctive feeling that by pushing this switch something outrageous may happen. Although at the same time, I also notice my daughter Cheryl's scream run through my heart, like a sense of duty that makes me feel I've got to push the switch. I slowly push the switch in. The entire school building shudders as if it were a giant ship. The entire school building appears as if it had been swallowed by Cheryl's heart as she stands alone in the darkness. I understand I've got to do something. To the courtyard, the darkness softly whispers to me. The clock tower looks to be about tall enough to reach the third floor of the school. At its base there's a small door about big enough for an adult to enter while bent down. The door opened. After opening, the door seems to beckon the one standing in front of it to enter with an irresistible mental energy. I cannot resist that power. As I enter, the door closes with a hopeless crash. Inside the clock tower, a loathsome stench hangs in the air. However, the smile of my daughter in my heart lessens my uneasiness and lets me forget my fear, even if only for a second. Reassured, I place my foot on the ladder leading up underground with my greatest motive called love. The inside finally became a small passage about large enough for an adult. I run. Trusting I'll see her smile ahead, I run forward, stamping on concrete stained with the smell of death. Once I climb the ladder at the end of the tunnel, there'll be no going back. I mutter Cheryl's name one more time. The depressing sound of the door closing echoes through the courtyard. Where am I? A raw, warm breeze pushes past my cheeks. The view lets me know that this is a completely different world from the school I was just in. Once again I think, where am I? Oh god, the mark of Samael. I descend the small stairs leading away from the clock tower and become even more convinced. An extremely religious-looking design has been drawn in the centre of the courtyard. Within a large double circle, a triangle has been placed, and within that, a strange pattern that looks like hieroglyphics is drawn. I don't remember this being here before, I mutter. This is definitely the school I was just in. The placement of the trees and the construction of the building. However, an overpowering feeling of nausea rises up through my body. A revolting, horrible smell, like that of the stench cutting into rotten meat, thickly wafts through the air, and is nearly visible to the eye. I begin to run. I can no longer bear to stay in this spot. By the time I place my hand on the door that leads inside the school building, I no longer have the strength left to tell how long I was running. Maybe it was only for an instant. Oh god, the school's looking a bit different. The school building has dramatically changed. Metal grated floors, blood covered walls, corpse like puppets hanging everywhere. It's like a nightmarish scene in which everything is isolated from the real world. In spite of that, I run. I'm searching for Cheryl. The unpleasant metallic sounds of my footsteps resonate throughout the inside of the school. And then I open the door to the teacher's room. Perhaps the door is not installed correctly, as it took me several attempts to force it open. Once I enter the room, I'm shocked. Desks are strewn about, and a raw, rotten stench rules the room. So we could either try and call the police to get help, or we can call home, where no one should be. Let's call home. Let's just see if we can get any response. Without knowing why, I dialed my home number where no one should be. Maybe there's a chance that Cheryl has already returned home? With slight hope, The phone's ringing. The mechanical electrical sound repeats over and over. Then all of a sudden, it stopped. Hello? The voice of a man I do not know escapes from the receiver. Hello? Who is this? From the receiver, I hear a gasp. The phone went dead. I stood bewildered for a moment with the receiver pressed against my ear. There's a man in my house, where no one should be. A man I don't know. I gently hang up the receiver, and for a bit I'm captivated by that blue telephone. I begin to leave the room. Oh god. My heart rapidly contracts. The mechanical sound echoes throughout the room. I nervously approach the telephone and once again pick up the receiver. Daddy, Help me. It's Cheryl. There's no mistaking it. I firmly press the receiver against my ear. Daddy, where are you? Cheryl? Is this Cheryl? At that moment, Cheryl's voice is replaced with a busy signal. I knew it, I think. Cheryl is here. Being located in the residential area, many children probably come to this school. The interior of the elementary school is larger than I imagined. Including classrooms, there are a lot of rooms, so locating Cheryl is going to be difficult. If Cheryl wasn't brought here by someone, and instead came of her own free will, then perhaps she might be in that one room. I spin around, run to the stairs at the end of the hall, and then sprint up them. I've come to the library, and my eyes are drawn to the open book. So it's either a children's book, a pharmaceutical book, or a dictionary of religious science. I'm going to go for children's book, because we are in a school after all. I pick up the book and see an abstract illustration of a youth carrying a bow and arrow on its cover. Oh, we know this story, don't we? Someone's been reading this book. I begin to read the book from the beginning of the page it was left open in a quiet voice. Hearing this, the hunter armed with the bow and arrow said, "I will kill the lizard." But upon meeting his opponent, he held back, taunting. "Who's afraid of a reptile?" At this, the furious lizard hissed, "I'll swallow you up in a single bite." Then the huge creature attacked, jaws open wide. This is what the man wanted. Calmly drawing his bow, he shot into the lizard's gaping mouth. Effortlessly the arrow flew, piercing the defenceless maw, and the lizard fell down dead. This is from an old fairy tale. I remember reading it as a kid. As I say this, I take a step back as if I've suddenly realised something. Wait, I think. Oh, hang on. Become gripped with the sense that my actions have been controlled by someone this entire time. Coming to the library, seeing the specific page in the open book, even whatever it is I must do now, it's a decision that's out of my hands. Everything that's happened has been in someone's hands. I've gradually come to understand this, even though I probably can't determine my own course. I accept the direction of the unseen one, to whom I must obey. In order to find Cheryl, there's no other alternative. I now know where it is I need to go. As I journey there, I walk firmly, stepping forward one step at a time. I descend a staircase from which uncomfortably warm air flows, and find an elevator at the base. It invites me to descend even further, as its doors slowly open. Once I enter, its doors close, and in the next moment, with a rusty clank sound, the elevator begins to descend at a high rate of speed. Just how far down's it going? All I can do is go with the flow. Gradually, the elevator and I are enveloped in hot, humid air. The elevator stops, and I step off as its doors open. Beyond a short passage, a dazzling light emitted from a small room, and a room that's been waiting for my arrival. Oh God! Split head. In the centre, the fires of hell burned, and everything made it look like this room was meant for prayer. And then it was there. It slowly moved around the enormous sconce from which flames and ash rose. The lizard looks to have been suddenly mutated. Its outer shell is a mucous membrane type. It just stares at me, and with surprisingly comfortable speed, it looks for a chance to attack. Here, so you can fire the gun at it, or it says I can no match for this enemy with the weapons I'm carrying. Running is the best bet. I might try running off, and then we could come back with a rifle or shotgun. So we're going to run off, hopefully. I was overwhelmed by its size. I've got to escape. I don't stand a chance with the feeble weapon in my pocket. I look for an escape route. However, the entrance I came through is now closed by a thick, solid metal fence, without any opening I could slide through. I cannot escape. At that moment, a part of my memory was suddenly awakened. Definitely in the library or in the teacher's room. What? Oh. When in the library we had the thing with the kids' book. Did he mean that one? I remember the book I just picked up. It's not too long ago. Its contents run about in my head. While paying very close attention to the movements of my enemy, my opponent, I recall its passages. Oh, the contents of the children's book, yeah. Effortlessly the arrow flew, piercing the defenceless Moor, and the lizard fell down dead. All I can do is draw my opponent closer. Each bullet that hits its body only seems to increase its strength. I'm running, dripping in sweat. The heat from the flames and the large amount of perspiration are working together to rob me of my strength, and then my feet finally get tangled and I fall to the bone-dry floor with a thud. Oh god. My supply of bullets is running out. This is my limit. I turn around. Its enormous mouth is there, measuring about 4 meters and open in all directions. It was only for an instant, but I thought of that passage again. The arrow flew, piercing the defenceless Moor. So fire into its mouth, or I'll stop its movement first. I fired at the legs. Obviously, I think we'll fire into its mouth, I think. I can no longer hesitate. I readied the gun as calmly as possible, aimed at the insides of its mouth, and quickly pulled the trigger. Over and over, over and over, the sound of gunshots rang out from my weapon for as long as I had ammunition. And then I lost consciousness. When I came to, I found myself in the middle of a dark room. Where is this? I wondered to myself. The monster from before has vanished. I heavily stood up and then waited motionless. Oh, hang on, I think I might have skipped too far there. The monster from before has vanished. I heavily stood up and then waited motionless for a bit until my eyes came into focus. Somehow, this looks to be the boiler room. It's oddly quiet. Maybe I was dreaming? My very exhausted body seems to have also recovered somehow. The low hum of the boilers strangely calms my nerves. And then I sense the presence of a person and I shift my gaze. Alessa. There was a girl standing there. She was wearing dark blue clothing and her light brown hair was neatly combed. The girl was just staring right at me. Once I noticed her and began to step towards her, she completely disappeared, as if her body just dissolved into the air in the room. I was alone in the room again. What was that? After standing for a bit, I let out a long breath and then placed my hand on the door at the entrance. Yay! The bell's ringing and the sun has come out again. Sunlight is shining into the hall of the school building. As usual, the snow is still outside, but I'm gripped with a strange feeling of relief, as if cancerous cells have been removed from me. This is a very strange translation. Filled with relief, I walk slowly toward the exit of the school building, and then I learn that Cheryl is not here, from the loud sound of the church bells that seem to call out to me. I begin to run toward the church on a road half covered in mud. Snow falls above my head, some of which freezes my hair as chilly air flows by. When I reach the church, I push open the heavy door without hesitation. Dahlia. Good old Dahlia. A cross is mounted on the front wall. Long benches are lined up on both sides of a small walkway. It was as if time had stopped for this familiar style church. In front of the altar, a sly-looking woman with cold eyes looks down at me, with an eerie grin. As I walked up to her, stepping one step at a time, she gazed at me without blinking. She looked as if she had predicted that I would arrive. "Were you ringing that bell?" The woman snorted. "I've been expecting you. It was foretold by gyromancy." "What are you talking about?" "I knew you'd come. You want the girl, right?" "The girl? You're talking about Cheryl?" My eyes grew wide. "I see everything. You know something. Tell me." "Stay back." The woman held the palm of her hand out at me and then lowered her chin in a way that suggested, "Please calm down." "Nothing is to be gained by floundering about at random. You must follow the path of the hermit, concealed by Flauros." "What? What are you talking about?" I asked once more without hiding my bewilderment. "Here, the Flauros, a cage of peace. It can break through the walls of darkness and counteract the wrath of the underworld. This will help you. Make haste to the hospital before it's too late. The woman held up a strange object and then softly placed it on the desk on top of the altar. Wait, don't go yet. So you've got options here. I will believe the woman's story, or a story is unclear and I don't understand it. I just cannot carelessly believe her. I don't know. I'm going to say her story is unclear. I just can't believe her. Even though, I mean, we all know what this is all about, but anyway. I thought that insane woman's behaviour and the details of her story were questionable. All that remains in the church... all that remains in the church is the reverberations of the sound of a door closing. I go after that woman. I'm convinced that the woman knows some secret of some sort. However, the door handle that she went through won't turn at all. It must be locked from the other side. Damn! Now I'm the only one left in the church. Almost as if taken from a nightmare, this space has heat. This warmth. It feels like it's protecting me from something. That's the best way to describe it. I move away from the door and begin walking to the altar the woman was at. The object that the woman was just holding has been put there. The flowers. The flowers. That is certainly what the woman had called this. I try picking it up, and then I place it on top of I place it back on top of the desk right away. It is power. The overwhelming power of the gods rests inside this four-sided object. It was a sensation like an electrical current passing into the palm of my hand, and then power moving throughout every nook and cranny in my body. I pick it up once more. This time I calmly take it into my hand, and then place it in my pocket. For some reason I'm convinced this object will help me find Cheryl. Right, I'm going to leave it there for the moment. We are going to carry on with this, 'cause I'm quite enjoying this. It's a very interesting way of kind of going about this, but I just want to see if... Yeah, I can't push start, unfortunately. So yeah, as I say, we are going to leave it there for the moment. Hope you're enjoying it so far. If you're a big Silent Hill fan, let me know what you think compared to the original game. Yeah, join me again soon when we shall carry on with this. So take care of yourselves, and I shall see you again very soon.